So what is up? Welcome to my Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra full review. Now, if you're wondering why it took a while to make this, is because I wanted to give it some real world usage, which I've done over the past week here. And I've basically been heavy using this phone. I'm ready to give you all the details that I've learned, I've experienced with it. The first thing I want to say right away is this green definitely has some turquoise feel to it, like a dark turquoise feel to it. It has a little bit tinge of blue in there. It's still green, but it's not the green like you might be expecting. It's not like an army green, anything like that. So do keep that in mind right away if you're going to get the green model. The next thing I want to make mention of right away is, I'm just going to make this complaint right out the gate. This phone, there is an upcharge to get more storage and RAM. Unlike before, Notes used to come with, the 256 gig, 12 gigs. I know they want to call it the S series. This is for Note users. The S22 Ultra was targeted at Note users. No expandable memory. Got to pay more to get the memory now. That's just a thing it is. Also, to get more RAM. So if you want to go all out, you're going to pay more. All right, so I'm going to give you my impressions on the body, the build, the weight of this device. First of all, this phone does weigh 228 grams. It is a heavy boy, but it's got a nice balance just because, I don't know, it just feels, it's a little bit top heavy, but it felt pretty well balanced for its size. It's not the heaviest phone on the market. The 13 Pro Max weighs more than this. This phone has a durable chassis. The body just feels like a tank, and I do like those cameras. They definitely have this nice shiny ring around the cameras. I kind of liked how the S21 Ultra had its little housing, but I still like this as well. This is clean. It's got its own unique look, and you could tell this is the S22 Ultra just by looking at this back camera with no housing on there. So it does differentiate itself. In addition, it feels good to be back on the rectangular design for this phone, specifically because the S Pen silo is inside of the body itself. And this aspect ratio feels nice and wide for writing your notes down. And the phone just feels right for this. If you're into the curved display, you'll definitely love this one right here. I don't mind it, but again, I would like to see a little bit of a different design in the future. This still feels like a Note 9, in terms of its just general shape and stuff like that. I will say though that, not major scratching or scuffing. I did get a hairline scratch on the display, so I did put a screen protector on it. These screens are so sensitive these days. I'd recommend just putting a screen protector right out of the box. I also dropped this thing while cycling to get some photos, and I damaged the S View cover. So get yourself a case, guys. You don't want to mess up or damage this phone. This is not a cheap phone, so you're not going to want to do that. On the whole, I gotta say, I enjoy its design. I think the more time I've had with it, it just feels nice and premium. It feels very competitive with the best phones on the market. Now, they did talk about some armor shield and how this is just much more durable than before, stuff like that, but it's IP68, you have a tougher drop protection. The phone is beautiful, but is this phone right here the most pretty phone out there? And I would say no. This thing is what I like to call beautifully utilitarian. So it's a gorgeous phone for getting a lot done. It still looks beautiful even though it's very practical. So if you like practicality, utilitarian type usage, which just means that you're going to use a lot of functions on here. You're going to use notes, you're going to use split screen, you're going to do a lot of things, kind of a jack of all trades, but you also want it to look pretty in the process. This is a beautiful device, but I wouldn't go for this if I care just purely about aesthetic. I actually think the S22, the regular line, looks a little bit better if I'm just going based on looks alone. All right, so let's get on to the display. 1750 nit dynamic AMOLED, and I gotta tell you, this is one of the reasons why, even with a couple of these little glitches I'm having with the display where it kind of like stutters a little bit, it's not really a glitch, it's more like a little delay between the adaptive refresh. I still enjoy using this phone. The display, just nobody's messing with it. Like, it's so beautifully saturated. While Samsung has also fixed it not being oversaturated looking, it retains a vivid look to it. You could change it to more warm. In addition to that, unlike the prior Note 20 Ultra, this phone now gives you the ability to turn on extra brightness, which will allow you to take advantage of that ridiculous brightness at any time you choose. I mean, look at it. It's overexposed. This phone is so bright, it literally just overexposed on the camera. Now, I don't even need to use that. I only put on adaptive brightness outside and it hits those levels in an extra brightness. But if you would like to have your phone really bright, you can do that now. Also, having this display be able to be in 120 hertz and have the WQHD plus is an absolute dream. I gotta just say it, it's been the best display experience I've ever had on a larger slab style smartphone. Absolutely the sharpest, the most contrasty, it's just absolutely gorgeous. And I just don't see any other phone this year taking down this display. They might take it down in some other areas, but right here, this is Samsung's strong suit. You cannot mess with them here. The text spreads out nice and evenly. It's not a super narrow feel on this phone, and the punch hole is kind of small, so it's not really in the way too much. Although, if you do go into the reader mode, Samsung is also, oh, we're lagging up a little bit there. I'm gonna leave it in the video just to show you. Like I say, there's some little tweaks here and there. You can see they've also thought about the fact that the punch hole up there gets in the way, so they made it to where you don't scroll into it. So it's an overall excellent experience of a display. The color is gorgeous, and if you're not into this oversaturation feel, you can go ahead and just turn it off. In addition, I enjoy using this in the landscape mode as well, just because there's a lot of space on here. You can use it like a little tablet in bed at night and stuff like that. It's absolutely enjoyable. Or if you want to use it as a GPS, it serves as almost a 7-inch GPS device in your vehicle. So just overall, man, I can't give it much more praise than that. There's just not much else to talk about. Gorilla Glass Victus always on displays. You could even change your lock screen clocks. We'll talk more about software later, but it gives you these abilities to like change clock styles and stuff. So now you have just gorgeous always on display. You have different things you can customize. It's just awesome. This display is just everything I want in a phone's display. But even though I praise this for like having a gorgeous display, let's go ahead and change out the wallpaper. With Android 12, you now have the Material U. So if I go ahead and switch the wallpaper, you can also make the icons go to the color of the theming of the wallpaper you choose. Look at this. You can make it pink. You can make it blue. You can apply this palette to the icons, which we just did. Let's swipe out of there, give it a second, and you'll see the icons have changed. So this phone right here gives you a gorgeous overall customization factor. And the text, I just want to show you up close because I didn't bring them close earlier. Look at the sharpness, guys. Like, it's ridiculous, man. Like, you can never find a pixel. I will dare you. You're never going to do it. For the rest of your life, you're never going to find a pixel on this phone. Where it really takes the show is how this thing actually takes advantage of the display. So you can see we're in here in split screen. I've talked about this in previous videos before, but you have the ability to have, you know, multiple applications. You'll see right there, boom, maybe you're doing some business. You need 2 different calculators at once, and then you're watching a vid while doing some research. Not only that, if you're like, hold up, hold the phone, this thing is not in the right place, I need to flip it around. There you go. Hold up, if you want to make that smaller, you need more space, bring it up there. I mean, I just love the ability to do this stuff on the Galaxy S22 Ultra. Before we want to move on to software, I just want to talk about, does the punch hole get in the way of content? And the answer is slightly. However, you can change the app to make a black bar to hide that within settings. So if it's a problem, you can get rid of it. And you can also just watch it like that. It's still plenty large to watch it like that. Let's talk about the software experience now that I'm going to go over this briefly. I don't have much to say because Samsung really already, you know, launched One UI 4 before this. We talked about it already earlier this year, but some of the highlight features here are going to be DeX number 1, which pretty much comes with all these latest Samsung phones. Allows you to make your phone into a computer. Pretty amazing stuff right there. In addition, their own built-in secure folder is pretty sweet too. Allows you to lock up files, do stuff you wouldn't be able to do on some other phones while enhancing your productivity. If you want to keep everything super secure stored on the phone, that's your go-to. We can go on and on, but Quick Share is awesome if you're using some of those new S8 tablets and stuff like that. Their ecosystem is really strong. Like, they have a lot of products that all work together very well. The only one I think that kind of feels a little out is the laptops. You know, it's still Samsung laptops, but they're running Windows. So, you know, the actual base is Google here, it's Windows there. It's not all pure Samsung, but it kind of feels like it all matches up well because the skins they're throwing on top. In addition, you have some of the nice things like focus modes. You can change your processing speed, bedtime, an array of power sharing you can do on here, as well as power saving modes, We can go right here, very nice. I actually tried the link to Windows as well on my Windows computer the other day. Link to Windows worked fantastic. I was able to beam the display up there on the computer. I also like how, you know, the software here on the home screen, you can change between different app grid sizes. You can kind of get a preview before you go ahead and change them. So there's a lot of nice features in that sense. They have a nice new widgets section here. It looks a lot cleaner on the phone, so very nice updates to the widget section. Some could say it looks like a copied iOS, which, you know, maybe not, I don't know. What do you think down below? But it looks nice. And of course, you know, with the theming section, you have the Galaxy Store. And of course, I'm not going to go on and on about the multitasking. You know that exists. The key thing about this phone is I don't really get bored. It's like very difficult to get bored on it. And then they throw in the S Pen, which does give you air action. In addition, screen off memos where you can have the screen locked and just draw some quick notes and stuff like that. S Pen to text, air view. It's got the whole shebang. It's got the whole suite of S Pen features. And I like how when you're like in the applications, you can do like some scrolling stuff like this. You can see previews when you're in the gallery and stuff. You can kind of just like hover over things. And it's so ridiculous smooth right now. I mean, this S Pen, actually, I would say the S Pen feels smoother than the scrolling with your fingers right now on the phone. So gorgeous overall software experience. My conclusion with this, I wanted to go in depth in this area because it's a very big area, is that now with having the long-term software update support with this phone, the incredible amount of features set, it's so fun to use. You know, it has good security. If you go in here to biometrics and security, you'll see they have a lot of security going on here. Not only that, I found that over here in battery and device care, we go down here to device protection, which I had off because I'm going to turn it on to show this example. You could turn this on. They have built-in McAfee software, so you can go ahead and scan your phone for viruses and stuff. You don't even need to download anything third-party. So a lot of nice security features, a jack of all trades, a phone that does everything well, an amazing pickup for the software. The only thing I think that would be holding some people back is that if they don't like, you know, Android and Samsung and they're into iOS, or they're into like a pure vanilla Android experience, you'll probably be put off by this. But if you're willing to take a step into all this has to offer and you take advantage of it, I think it can actually add to the productivity of your day-to-day usage. Touch on my S Pen experience with the actual latency and stuff like that. You know, we got all these features in here. I gotta say, it just responds. Hey, this responds so well. Like, it's so much better than previous Note devices. So this is so nice. It writes just like almost like paper. Like, it's absolutely gorgeous. One thing I don't like is that they made the pens all black, so they're kind of more boring looking to me. This was all green. That would have been sleek, but they only put green on the button. But I could see why they went black. They're trying to look a little bit more classy, a little bit more businessy with the black pen, the green tip. At the end of the day, the S Pen has been a gorgeous experience. I forgot how useful this can be because I was using it, you know, before, but then I went back to the iPhone with the 13 Pro Max and I didn't have an S Pen. This is a great tool. I absolutely think this should be on more type of phones. I wish more manufacturers would take note, you know, literally, and start putting pens inside their phones. That would be amazing. But right now, this one basically stands alone. We do have the Z Fold and the S21 Ultra. And by the way, when you pull this pen out, the other S Pens in Samsung's lineup do work with the phone, just so you know. If you got the longer pen from your tablet, you want to use it on here, it also works on here as well. All right, so I have not got an update since I got this phone, and I gotta say that over the past couple days, the performance has got a little better than when it first came out of the box. I've seen a couple of, you know, like little glitches here and there. You've seen in my speed test, it wasn't as smooth, and it's still not. You know, this phone does feel a little bit rushed in the performance. The Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 is a powerful chip. I was able to run Call of Duty no problem. Didn't get too warm. Ran this game like a champ. No issues whatsoever. They have that gaming optimization mode that people are saying is throttling app performance, but you can go ahead and tweak it just by typing it in up here. Just type in game. Let's go ahead and put game booster settings right here. You'll see right there, gamer optimize. You can switch that to battery saver or standard. Make sure you go ahead and tweak with that if you want to have the best gaming performance. Performance is spotty right now. A few scrolling issues, a few glitches here and there. If you really are obsessed with performance, I probably waited out like a month or two till Samsung gets some updates on this. Because right now it's a little bit, it's not like blowing me away. But with the 4nm, it's still a fast phone with the 12 gigs of RAM, no multitasking issues. It's getting the job done. And hey, you know, for getting the job done and having such great hardware, I'm just going to wait it out. Like, I still love the phone. I love the cameras. It's a gorgeous screen. It's a really productive device. I'm just going to wait it out, but I still love the phone. Just got to say, it irks me that my S21 Ultra was way smoother than this out of the box, and it still is to this day. So I'm waiting for an update. Let me talk now about battery life, and this is something I've been closely monitoring. It's something that I keep getting asked about in the comment section. It seems to be all people care about these days is battery, and it kind of makes sense considering we're using our phones so much. I gotta tell you the God's honest truth. With my usage, I can't get through a full day of this phone without wanting to hit the charger. Now, would it make it? Yes, but I found myself just topping it off because by middle of the day, I was at 50%. I don't want to be at 1 or 10% at the end of my day. I don't want to be that low. I don't want to cycle the battery. So you can see I was making it through most of my day, and then I just hit the charger. Whatever, I'm just hitting it. And then right here, I would just top it up a little bit and stuff like that. It drains a little too quickly for my tastes. You know, the phone goes down from 100 to 90 really fast. Then it slows down a little bit. In the 80s, it starts to get a lot slower, but that 100 to 90 is weak. It still has the standby drain, which I'm not a big fan of. But one of the saving graces is that this phone, through my 45-watt charger that was included with the promotion, which I just took advantage of as a credit, charges very fast. So I have no problem with that. And I'm always near a charger, you know, in the car, you know, whether I'm at home, in the office, whatever. I'm near a charger. I think a lot of people are. But for this money and 5,000 milliamp, I would expect it better. But here's why I'm willing to forgive Samsung for not having, you know, perfect battery life, because this is still the best of the S22 line. This phone outdoes the S22 Plus and outdoes the S22. In addition to that, why wouldn't you want to get the one with the best battery life from their lineup? In addition to that, this phone has so much offering, so many great productivity features that even though I got to sacrifice a little bit of battery life, it's still worth it because it's so useful. Like, everything is so useful. So it's still worth it. But at the end of the day, I still think Samsung can work on this, whether it's through software optimization. I don't really think they need a bigger battery. I think it's really optimization. They need to get the phone more optimized to sit battery a little bit lighter. All right, so in the camera area, I'm not going over all the specs. You know what's on board here. Here's what I noticed. I loved having the 0.6x ultra wide camera, super fun, just like the iPhone 13 Pro Max, in addition, and the S21 Ultra. In addition to that, I gotta say, I just love all the features. There's just so much. I know everything I want to do, and like if I need to think of something I need to do creatively, it's here on the phone. In addition, you know Samsung does have all of their aspect ratio settings all right there in the camera. You don't got to go looking, hunting for it. It's right there. It's a very advanced setup. I already took my samples. I feel like the ultra wide could get a little bit wider, but overall, this is a versatile setup. It's an amazing camera overall, and there's just really not a big deal or issue with it. Having no expandable memory makes it a little bit more annoying to transfer, but I took some samples and I want you guys to go ahead, check them out. Let me know your thoughts. get an idea how it does perform in this mode. I am walking as well. There's my feet. And you can kind of let me know what you guys think of it. Alright, so here's some nighttime video with the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra. This is what you can expect. I'm shooting this in 4K 60. It might be downscale for the video, but this is what it does at nighttime. Guys, so what do you guys think of the results of this phone that I just showed you? What do you think of the overall saturation levels, the dynamic range, the zoom quality, the sharpness? I'm pretty happy with it. I'll tell you this, something I really like is this new feature in here. We go to the settings right here. It's called the object eraser. It will try its best to get rid of stuff, and it'll work better with like pictures outside where somebody's in the background or there's some object. Like there, you can see it just totally got rid of that. You know, it's not perfect, but it's fun, and I don't think it's gimmicky. I actually think it's pretty useful. Definitely cool. And the expert raw mode is pretty sweet too. You take a raw photo, you set it up how you want, and then it'll take you right over to Lightroom for some raw photo editing if it's something that you care about. If you're into this more professional style editing, it's not something everyone will need, but you can go ahead and click Lightroom right there. We'll hit allow, and then we're going to go ahead and open up the photo album here in Lightroom for editing. So sweet features there. I had to mention those before we stop talking camera. I'd say this is playing at the top of the game in smartphone cameras today. You know, some people are still going to like our iPhone results and Pixel results, but it's still up there, and it's probably the most versatile pick you can get if you want to do a lot of like, you know, just different types of camera setups. And the main thing that's really been really amazing is the zoom. Just like with the S20 Ultra, the S21 Ultra, having the 100 times zoom is just unreal. The one I used most though was the 10X because it's still sharp. AKG speakers on the bottom and the top, tuned very nicely, so no big deal with this, plenty loud. I found it reach pretty good decibel levels, so you're gonna be pretty happy with this, no major issues on that front. In addition to that, I want to talk about something that's been really good with this phone that you probably don't often think about too much, and you just expect it to be good, but the signal strength, man. The chip in here for 5G, the signal, just amazing. Bluetooth 5.2 made my headphones connect ridiculous fast to this. And not only that, I gotta mention the ultrasonic in-display fingerprint sensor, which is, you don't even gotta look, man. This thing is really sharp. It's one of the best in-display fingerprint sensors on any phone out there. So if they're gonna do this type of tech, this is how you do it right here. And so there's so much more with this phone. I didn't cover every single spec. I didn't even talk about 8K video, which is a little bit shaky, but it's still awesome you have that. I didn't talk about, you know, how this phone has some of the best overall, you know, speed when it comes to transferring. You have UFS 3.1 here for transferring versus, you know, some other Android phones that don't offer that. This phone, what it feels like to me is it's almost perfect, but the setback is the lower than expected battery life. I'm not overly impressed. It does the job, but for 5,000 milliamp, I was just hoping it was so much better. I want to see some all day battery life. Now look, man, you're a medium user, you going to work, you popping this in the GPS in your car and the car charger, stuff like that. You're probably going to be like, it's fine. I got no problem with it, bruh. I get you. But for heavy users, a lot of people buy this are super heavy users, they're going to notice that. In addition, there's been a few optimization hiccups. They haven't been the end of the world. You just seen it right there. It just kind of hiccuped right there. Again, it's not the end of the world. I'm not going to say it's a $1,300 phone. I'm not going to sit up here and say it doesn't run well. Like, it's still going to blow the doors off a lot of phones below it, but it's not going to blow the doors off some of its competitors right now in optimization. However, it can in a couple weeks when Samsung gets this thing updated, in maybe a couple months when they have a few updates roll around. So we'll revisit the comparisons and speed tests like that. On a scale of 1 to 10, let's rank it. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. If we were going 1 to 10, that's an easy way to understand what I think of it. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. And if it had a little bit better battery life or the performance proves, I'll update my rating to a 9 out of 10. But I don't see the battery life getting like substantially better. I've never seen that on prior phones. So a little bit better battery life and better performance optimization, and Samsung has the perfect Android phone. Thumbs up if you enjoyed the review. Let me know your thoughts. Do you have the S22 Ultra? Please share your experience with the community if you have and you watched this video. Or are you waiting for yours? Any more questions, drop them below. There's a vibrant community of people who love this device or even have it and are willing to talk about it or share their experience. So get your comments in. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you very much for watching. Appreciate every one of you. I'll catch you on the next episode.